Here's what you need to know about the Claudine Gay plagiarism scandal. It's bullshit. Let me explain. Christopher Rufo, he's the guy that started the critical race theory panic. This is his thing. So he dropped this Twitter thread in which he claimed to prove that Claudine Gay had plagiarized her thesis while she was studying for a PhD at Harvard. This supposed bombshell hinges on two claims. First is that Claudine Gay plagiarized her thesis advisor. Here's the thing. Your thesis advisor is your co-author, not some source you found on the internet. Plagiarism is passing off someone else's work as your own work. A thesis advisor knows the difference between their own work and their students' work. That's kind of their job. And there's inevitably a lot of overlap between the professor's work and the student's work. That's the nature of the advisor-advisee relationship. Claudine Gay's thesis advisor, Gary King, knew full well which parts of Claudine Gay's thesis were derived from his work. There is no plausible way that Claudine Gay tried to pass off her thesis advisor's work as her own. Like, it's just stupid. Now, if you point this out to somebody who's already made up their mind that Claudine Gay is a plagiarist, they will immediately pivot to the second claim, which I'll get to in just a second. But first, consider the pivot, because it gives away the whole game. When you point out how ridiculous it is to claim that Claudine Gay plagiarized her thesis advisor on her thesis, I haven't seen anybody try to defend that claim. They just pivot to the other one. What does that tell you? They didn't believe the first claim. They don't believe the second one either. That's not the point. The point is to stack up as many bullshit claims as they can get away with, because most people haven't done grad level writing. They don't have the context to understand the stupidity of the claim. Anyway, the second claim is also from the thesis. Claudine Gay cites some sources to describe the methods that they use as context for her own work. In the course of doing that, she repeats some of the original source verbiage, close to word for word. And of course, Rufo puts the two pieces of text side by side and says, look, she didn't cite her source. The fact that there is a citation at the beginning of the paragraph notwithstanding. If you know anybody that's done academic writing, ask them about writing the methods section. That's where you describe the technical details of the research that you did. Here's the thing about highly technical writing. You're trying to describe a set of very specific concepts, a lot of times using terminology that nobody outside your field understands. The number of ways that you can phrase a piece of technical writing and have it still make sense and be accurate is generally pretty small. One of the lines that Rufo highlighted was using 1987 survey data, which is a technical description of a source of data that was used to do some analysis. And as part of Rufo's little op, he pointed out that the original text said using 1987 national sample survey data, and says, oh, look, these are basically the same, which is true. But think about this for a second. How many ways can you rephrase that? The study used survey data from 1987. You can't change 1987, right? Because then it wouldn't be accurate. It was survey data. So what are you going to change it to something else? It doesn't work because it's specific. And it's important to convey the specifics in your academic writing. Besides, it's the methods section of the paper, which is not the part that is what you're actually trying to contribute with your research. That comes in the
So he breaks it all down for, and we're going to talk about that this morning. In fact, let's talk about it right now with Austin Cooper. Austin, what's going on? Where you at? Where's he at? Where's Austin?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I mean, what's with the delay?
I'm not tech savvy, so I have no idea. All I know is I was here. I'm here.
It's like, ladies and gentlemen, Austin Cooper, and it's a no-show.
Morning. Good to see you.
So Nira Oxman. So you talk about again the uh, glass house, and you're just tossing those stones and rocks and bricks and everything else, despite your glass house. Nira Oxman, who's a tenured professor, and the wife, a billionaire Harvard donor, Bill Ackman, plagiarized passages of her 2010 doctoral dissertation. She relentlessly called for the resignation of Claudine Gay. Uh, and then she even says, when she was yelling, spewing her hatred toward Claudine Gay, that students are forced to withdraw for much less. Well, as it turns out, as we said, she engaged in a similar pattern that she was accusing. And as the guy broke down for us, what Claudine Gay did is not plagiarism. What she did, though, Oxman,
It's plagiarism.
is plagiarism. She lifted from papers found in Nature, the Royal Society of London, and a 1998 book published by Klaus Mathek, who is a German physicist. And then here's her response, though, to all of that. She's double checking her work currently to determine if there are indeed any errors. She says,
And she knows there are.
yeah, of course. She says, I will check all the above citations and request that MIT, which is where she's a tenured professor, make any necessary corrections. I regret and apologize for these errors.
And let me keep my job at MIT.
There's no threat of her job
Mm-hmm.
being taken
Mm-hmm.
away from her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yesterday on the show, we talked about the physical stench of Trump, of Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're talking about the stench of Trump and outright racism, but in a literal sense. What happened up at Harvard was a coordinated attack
Yep.
on a Black woman who made history by becoming the first president of the esteemed Harvard University, a university that, if you look at its history, was built by slaves. A
Mm-hmm.
history that of a university that where its early university presidents owned slaves right on the campus of Harvard University, and it's just disappointing to me and disgusting that this Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
who was held two deanships for a number of years on Harvard, having come from Stanford, has become Harvard University's shortest term president, 6 months,
Well, you said it was built
by
on the
slaves.
slave plantation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what did they do? What did they do? They did what the old slave master would do when the slave got out of line, or they felt like the slave, they needed to put the slave in line, even if the slave wasn't in line
Hmm.
or was
Hmm.
already in line. They
Yeah,
lynched
yeah.
her.
Absolutely,
They lynched
absolutely.
her. And then you got this heifer right here, Oxman. I mean, come on.
No,
Um, she she needs to go somewhere with her billionaire husband, with all their privilege, and bury herself under some rocks and stay there.
yeah, yeah. And Dr. Gay wrote a very good piece, op-ed in yesterday's New York Times, in
Hmm.
which she said that basically I'm and you using my words, but that the Bill Ackermans of the world and others are not going to stop with her, and that the underlying cause of their attacks on her is racism. You know, um, there was a independent committee that reviewed Dr. Gay's writings,
Hmm.
and there were changes that had to be made. But as the gentleman referenced in the video, minor changes, mistakes that I would suspect are common amongst everybody who are writing at that level of academia.
It's people like that that remind me, and there's a reason why it reminds me. It reminds me of the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, and you
Yeah.
just want to see, if even if it's just for that little period of time that that it Trading Places where Eddie's character got the drape, whatever. You want to see these guys, this heifer right there, and homeboy with all he's standing proudly privileged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, come on,
Yeah. Yeah.
give me a
No.
break.
And look, there was also an interesting piece by right after my favorite columnist, Stacy. My favorite columnist is Eugene Robinson,
I think
uh,
me,
with the
you.
Washington. Huh?
I thought you said you. My favorite column is you. I
No,
was
no,
like,
no, no. You are my favorite columnist, and my second favorite columnist is is Eugene Robinson with the Washington Post, and he also wrote a good piece. And the point that he made, which I agree with 200%, is yes, it was racism why they went after her in this manner, but she and the other two university presidents who testified um, on December 4th or December 5th, also gave uh, these nut jobs, especially on the committee, ammunition. Having worked on, for 4 members of Congress, I mean, I know what it's like to prepare, folks for contentious congressional hearings or potentially contentious interviews.
hmm
Uh, and I was shocked that Dr. Gay and the other two were not better prepared. That clearly they had not done, murder board. We used to call them murder boards,
right,
where
right.
you just sit down and they throw the kitchen sink at you
hmm
and help you craft your responses, help you maintain your control so you don't get angry and start screaming.
right.
And that did not happen with Dr. Gay. So I'm a
Yeah.
defender of Dr. Gay, but she certainly did not help herself
With that hearing.
with that hearing.
Yeah, well, she had to know she was going to get ambushed and lynched and everything else at the Capitol.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly, exactly.
so give me a break. But we didn't even say good morning because it's Happy Swag Hoodie Day. Alcorn versus JSU tomorrow. Men and women basketball starting at noon Central, and both games televised on HBCU Go. Thanks to Power 96. That's from him, of
Okay,
course. And I'm thinking he's wearing the JSU hoodie
I'm
today.
sure.
I'm thinking he is, but he never wears the same hoodie twice.
Keeps
He's
everybody off their game.
yeah, exactly. So we got to
Doesn't want to be
figure out
predictable.
maybe, yeah. So whose hoodie is he wearing today? You got to let us know. That's the question of the day. You hear the Jeopardy sound going and whatnot. Uh, so who is Power 96 representing today? And so your answers, please. And then he will reveal his answer at some point during the show. So and he mentions too this morning that the worst display of plagiarism was Melania copying Michelle Obama.
Thank you.
You remember that?
Thank
Who
you.
could not
Absolutely.
forget
Absolutely.
that? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
And who?
Or Steve Harvey copying Mr. Cooper, hanging with Mr. Cooper, or Cedric the Entertainer copying Cat Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to that interview. I listened to parts of that interview last night. Wow. I
I don't
mean,
see how you could listen to parts of it without listening to the whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my
it was a
God.
lot of me. He was on fire. I mean, it's like
Listen,
Jesus.
from the moment
From the
moment
opening
go.
question, yeah. I mean, most times you kind of ease into, but it was clear that Cat had, some things to get off his chest, and get them off his chest. He did.
Well, there was something he said that I still find the most hilarious thing he said. It was when Cat Williams mentioned he mentioned one of these guys, and he basically told Cat Williams that he was surprised. I mean, basically told Shannon Sharp that he was surprised that he was even playing with losers. He said something along the lines of you know, you're a winner playing with losers or something like that. In other words, having them on his show.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was really really hilarious
no.
how he just he he got in on everybody, and you can
Inc-
see like Cedric's response. So shows that it shows that everything his response was so well. Let's fight, you know. What that tell you everything you need to know right there.
I mean, I have seen contentious, interviews before where, the host is very aggressive with the interviewee and the interviewee is getting defensive. Not this. Cat threw jabs at at Sharp. I'm like, oh my God, you're attacking the host on on the show. Basically, how can you have him on there and not answer this question or that question? You're not good at your job. I'm like, wow.
This is what he said. He said he said to Shannon Sharp, "You have an unnatural allegiance to losers. It's not like you." That's the most hilarious thing of all. You have the most unnatural affection to losers. It's just not like you. That was hilarious.
Well, if he said that to him, live on the show, can you imagine what the conversation was, afterwards?
Well, listen, I'm sure Shannon, they probably spent hours afterward with Shannon on the floor laughing his head off. while Cat Williams said, "I'm serious. I'm not making no jokes." And you Aunt Pam says, and we all know Shannon has new teeth.
Oh my God.
Oh boy, shots fired again.
Shots fired. At 7:40, now it's 7:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Unbelievable. Now listen to Austin. Here's an interesting development that's actually going on this morning, nearly 3 years ago, to the day. Then Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn came face to face with the violent mob of former President Donald Trump's supporters. Now he hopes to join the ranks of lawmakers he tried to protect on that day and the many since. On Friday, today, the eve of the anniversary of the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, Dunn launched a campaign in Maryland's 3rd Congressional District. He says because of January 6th and everything that happened afterwards, it's clear how much of a threat the extinction of our democracy is. It's very present right now. 15-year veteran of the Capitol Police. He saw 5 of his
colleagues
die. And he testified before the January 6th Commission. This guy is now running for Congress.
He's running in the 3rd Congressional District. That's the seat held by Congressman, I think it's John Sarbanes. I don't know if he's related. I think his father was a senator at one point in Maryland, but he's announced his retirement. Anything I can do to support Brother Dunn in terms of getting elected, I fully intend to do. I mean, what better person to represent that district and to represent Americans in Congress than Harry Dunn, the very face of the defense of democracy in the United States.
Yeah, he during his testimony, he said that during the insurrection, during the event, it was just about surviving. And you think about that, and you think about how the House Speaker Johnson and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all have made, and Fox News have made it. They have so, they've turned this into something that it's not. They've made it like it was a friendly gathering. I mean, these are the folks that will tell you that 9/11 was just someone setting off a
Exactly.
firecracker in the
Exactly.
garage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, it is unreal. And then, and like we reported yesterday, there's a board game that's coming out tomorrow, making total light of the January 6th insurrection.
Mhm.
You know, Trump and the Republicans will have you believe it never happened. At least the videos, the vast amount of videos that have stemmed from this, and all the convictions from it, the 1,000 or so convictions from this, is just a figment of our imagination.
Mhm.
It's
You
just like
know.
when he was in office, COVID
Mhm.
was just a figment of our imagination. Yet, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people worldwide lost their lives.
You know, one of the most vivid images that I have of January 6th, as well as Officer Dunn's testimony before the January 6th committee, was, Stacy, the images of him leading those racist rioters away from the Senate chamber.
Hmm.
And you can see him basically yelling at them and walking, down the hallway, motioning them to come his way. Had he not done so, uh, in addition to the 5 officers, in addition to, Ashley Babbitt, who, lost her life for, no reason whatsoever, but being simple, but members of the United States Senate might very well have been seriously injured or even killed that day. And among those who should be making a sizable, the maximum financial donation to Officer Dunn's congressional campaign should be Mitt Romney, Senator Mitt Romney, because I don't know if we see it here, but there's an image of Mitt Romney running down the hallway, and
Hmm.
Officer Dunn telling him, "No, you got to go this way." He would have
Right.
run right into the lion's den of those racist animals who were attacking the Capitol.
Unreal. So Dunn is going to formally announce later this morning, and we will see what happens, because the who in his race, he's running, of course, as a Democrat, but in his race, it's one of those districts where whoever wins the Democratic field is likely to win
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
seat. It is a extremely heavy Democratic district, so
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll see. Listen, just to bring a little lightness to the morning. It's Friday. I don't know if it's that light though in the grand scheme of things, but I got a kick out of it. Um, Not in a well, I found it to be funny, but it's sad as well. But in case you missed it, in Las Vegas, of all places, everybody gambles in Vegas, and this guy, I don't know what his deal was, what he was gambling and everything. You talk about risking it all, and then there was no upside. There was no upside to what he did within the court. So this guy he attacked a judge. I mean, this was one of the most incredible things you'll ever see in the courtroom. At a sentencing hearing, he didn't like at all what this judge was saying. And keep watch. Wait for it, as they say. Wait for it. David Youngblood said he looked like Spider-Man.
He did.
And here we go. The most unbelievable scene I've ever seen in the courtroom. And boom.
Look at that. Look at that.
What in the world?
Shocking. Shocking. I mean,
And he got,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
I
not only
mean,
that, look as the punches fly.
yep.
I mean, he's got to be happy that they didn't have weapons, guns in the courtroom.
Hmm.
They don't allow
Hmm.
guns in the courtroom. Power 96 said that guy needs a Nike shoe contract. He took flight. he just took it to another level.
I
But this
mean,
guy,
who can jump? Who jumps like that over
the bench,
a bench? I mean, you're going to the courtroom when you see it on TV. Those benches
they
are
up
high up.
there.
I mean, you're up there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're not eye level with anybody else. Why? Because you're the judge. And how
Yes.
do you I mean, what the hell did he do? Like run hurdles, or what do you call that? When
Look at
look at
that.
that.
I mean, that tells you. Here's the thing: instead of being a career criminal, I mean, he could have been something else.
Yep, yep, exactly. I mean, thank God this judge was not hurt. Seriously injured. He banged her head against the wall. I think I heard a court person
Maybe
say,
bang some sense into her too.
"Yeah, yeah." But
Talent wasted. Exactly right.
but
Talent wasted.
look at this. And how did this idiot? I mean, he just sealed
I,
the deal with
look,
his sentencing.
Power 96 said he took flight. That's exactly what he did. And Nakia Cooper, hey, Nakia from the Bayou beat. She said people are saying that the judge was smiling sarcastically as she was talking to him and should have been more mindful of that. And the little court aide next to her was at least trying to punch the guy, trying to help her out. So, but yeah, these listen, attacks on judges, but some of these judges they smirk, they
Yeah, yeah.
they gotta keep it professional.
Hmm.
Keep it
Hmm.
professional. And we know that a lot of times in a situation like that, I'm not saying that this is the case with this judge, but you got a white woman sitting behind the bench, black suspect, they get a little extra joy out of throwing those years on those sentences.
Well, the
And in
key
this
is
guy's case, though, Austin,
he
he
what?
wasn't looking at much time.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
He wasn't looking at much. It was some sort of uh theft or something, or what. I don't what was it? It wasn't didn't seem to be anyway. I don't have the court filings, but it didn't appear because they was asking for probation.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
problem was
He got a long
he
track record.
he's his track record. And here's the other thing that was going against him. It was like the third time before the same judge.
Exactly.
He had pleaded guilty to attempted battery with substantial bodily harm, actually. So he was probably looking at a few years.
Hmm.
He's at
Hmm.
this point, third time offender, and then attempted battery with substantial bodily harm. So he might have been looking at a few years. But you just added, I think Greer put it best. We were talking about this yesterday after the show. I think she put it best. You know that scene in Color Purple, in which she is all messed up, and this it's over for her. And that's this guy. He's gonna be in the jail cell, not knowing Harpo from Sealy.
No, no,
Because
no.
you can't do that. And then this is a
Exactly.
white woman judge.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can't do that.
He
She said he gonna she
he's
gonna
gonna be her
eventually let
butler.
him out, and he
Drew
gonna be
said he's
her
gonna be her
butler.
butler.
Now, son,
Yep.
you gonna drive Miss Daisy.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
it's just horrible.
And just think about it.
I
Then
didn't hear.
Stacy. I mean, this time yesterday, he knew he had an appearance before the judge.
He
Didn't
thought he was going
know.
home.
I mean, exactly, exactly. And so you realize you are, not going home. That anger that disappoints you, and whether the judge was grinning or not. I did. I didn't look at it, to be honest, that closely. But I wish that he had maintained, more control, because,
Yeah,
but regardless of his reasoning, because now he's not going to be free for what was the original? Did they even
they
get to
didn't
the original
say.
sentence?
They didn't say. Because of all the chaos, they're gonna have to revisit that. And in the meantime, there will be some additional charges. Um, you could just imagine they're gonna throw every
Yeah,
potential.
yeah,
He's gonna if he has a public defender, that public defender better just tell him to go get a regular lawyer.
yep.
Because actually, I will say this is what Vegas, and from my knowledge of Vegas, is that they have some of the best public defenders. So maybe he doesn't need another lawyer. But Nakia says he just threw away at least an extra 10 years.
Yep,
At least.
exactly, Makia. Exactly, exactly,
At least.
exactly. And here's the deal. I thought I heard, I could be wrong, where they wanted to bring him back to the courthouse yesterday to finish, but I guess it'll be today.
It'll be today.
And guess what? this same white woman on the screen here, judge,
Yep.
that's gonna be the same judge. And
Pam
you know,
said,
if
"Don't."
you think what did Pam say?
Pam said, "Don't do the crime if you can't do the time." In her
Exactly.
Beretta voice, "Don't do it." He said, "You better keep your eye on the
Yep,
sparrow."
yep. So when he returned to the courthouse today, I have no doubt his legs will be he'll be in chains like a slave. He will have handcuffs on, and he will stand before that very same judge.
Mhm.
And whatever
You
she
think
was,
he'll be able to
what
stand? I don't think this guy's gonna. He's gonna come in. They're gonna have a mask on him because they're gonna have to conceal the fact that he's now drinking from, eating from a tube.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, he's gonna be in a wheelchair. You know, he's gonna come in there like, what's that character who eat
Uh,
the fava
uh,
beans?
Silence of the Lambs. What
Silence
was
of the
it?
Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could come in like that. That's how he's coming. That's unfortunate. You know, I mean, think about it sometimes, Austin. If you were a judge, if I was a judge and somebody keeps coming before me, I think what I would they probably kick me off the bench by now because I'd probably grab some popcorn.
Yeah,
You
no,
back?
exactly,
Wait,
exactly,
you
exactly.
back? Austin Cooper, I have to see you again. Give me the pop
Hmm.
bailiff. Give me some
You know,
popcorn.
clearly,
This is gonna be a
clearly,
movie.
what I have sentenced to you before is not working. So I need to take it to the next level because I'm tired of seeing you.
I'm tired.
But
Negro, don't you got a job?
what's that sport? I'm drawing a blank on the name, but what's that sport where you run and you jump over the hurdle, whatever it's called,
Yeah, the high jump or
the
whatever.
high
I don't
jump?
know.
I mean, was this guy a high jumper in school?
Listen. Power 96 said all he could hear is the song "I Believe I Can Fly." You know that video has been shared better than 30 million times now.
Yeah, yeah. No, his
Uh,
his skill. This guy's skills could have been used at that this summer at that riverboat incident.
how about that? Exactly. See, he could have put, as what is it? Aunt Pam said, put that talent to work.
To work.
Yes, use that talent for something good. He gonna jump over the. How you jump over the bench like that?
I don't
And
know.
then he hit his mark. And wait, what was the judge thinking though? Because she had to see him coming. Was he
Holy
that
S,
fast?
holy S, absolutely. And you see, and you see how I mean, none of his lawyers, were able to react. The bailiff or whatever you call him stood there with his mouth open.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How was he? Because if you saw if you paid attention to the video, the bench is way back. I mean, the bench is here. The defense table and lawyers table is all the way over here.
Which means he had a running start. So
He had a
he had a
running
chance to get
start.
some momentum. And nobody jumped to try and
Maybe
stop him. They're
listen.
like, "What is he doing?" I think
Listen.
everybody in that courtroom was shocked, including the judge.
Well,
Look at that.
maybe
Look at that.
and I know people are gonna criticize us for laughing at this, and we're trying to put some perspective to it, but it could be that yeah, they fighting there, but it could be that some of those people in that courtroom that work in that courtroom, they don't like that judge. It could be that maybe it's like, homeboy, maybe he can get off a couple of rounds and then we'll grab him up because he definitely did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, this morning I'm sure he's thinking about what he did yesterday, and he's got a lot more mornings to think about what he did yesterday.
Well, Power 96 says the judge in charge of the fake elector scheme in Nevada. I don't know if he's being serious here or not. She has to preside over that case. If that's the case, oh my God, we talking about 10 years? That he's 30 years.
Yep. Yep.
30 years. Oh man. And speaking of fake electors, so Donald Trump, so we keep listen, this in all seriousness now, Austin, we've talked all 2023. The guy was found he said it's real, by the way. So yeah, the guy's life is over. But we talked about the fake electors. Trump, a civil jury said he sexually assaulted a woman. They ordered him to pay $5 million to a woman, and this is a guy who, before he became president, he said that he could sexually assault women at will because he was a celebrity. Remember, grabbing by the private parts. Last year, he was a judge said he committed massive business fraud, and so they're still deliberating on whether or not he's going to have to pay $250 million in fines, and they're going to keep his business from doing business in New York. He's 91 felony charges have been launched against this guy. That's still twice impeached. Still, for many Republicans and many Republican voters, it's not enough to say we don't. Colorado said you're not eligible for president. It's not enough for Republicans and Republican voters to say, okay, we need to pick somebody else. Now comes this. While he was president, he received at least $7.8 million from 20 foreign governments, including his favorite, China. The transactions are detailed in a 156-page report called, quote, get this, White House for Sale, that the House Oversight Committee produced. It offers irrefutable evidence that Trump engaged in the kind of conduct that the House Republicans have labored so far unsuccessfully to prove Biden did, as they work to build an impeachment case against Biden. A lot of that, so they paid millions to the Trump International Hotel in DC, the Trump International Hotel in Vegas, the Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue in New York, and Trump World Tower at the United Nations Plaza. Austin, I mean, help me wrap my head around this.
I'm still trying to figure out too. Here's what I'll say. I'm not even remotely surprised with the results of this report. And Stacey, if we're honest with ourselves, we knew that a lot of this was taking place during real time during his 4 years of the presidency, because Donald Trump would proudly talk about it. Mm-hmm. His children would proudly talk about it. I mean, look at his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, real estate, developer or whatever. And all of a sudden, his father-in-law becomes president of the United States, and he becomes, overnight an expert in achieving peace in the Middle East.
They said at least $7.8 million, right?
It's more.
It's a whole lot more. So what happens is, obviously, the Trump and his people probably did their best to hide all of this stuff. And at some point, somewhere along the line, someone got sloppy and they let slip this $8 million, almost $8 million. And China is like, of the 8 million or 7.8 million, of that, I think it was like 5 million was China alone. And you know how much he talked about China. It became a meme.
China.
Yes. and the other thing is, like, they did business from, like, Trump was in one room and they were in the other one because they couldn't bear the smell, according to what we learned.
I knew you were going to go back there.
According to what we learned. But my goodness.
No, I mean, again, none of this is surprising. His behavior pre-presidency, his behavior during his presidency, his behavior post-presidency, all point to at least $7.8 million that he made, and I think that's on the low end.
Very low end, yes.
Of what he did. I mean, Ivanka, who had full White House credentials, had a clothing line, pocketbooks and all of that before. Her income tripled during the presidency. I mean, the kids, his children made money. He made money. we know that he stole American intelligence documents. Why would he
Mhm.
steal them? Only to sell them. And
Well,
my theory with
mhm.
and I have no evidence, but my theory with this whole, how was Israel so unprepared on October 7th for the Hamas attack when they had Netanyahu had advance warnings. And I would not be surprised if Donald Trump sold Israeli intelligence
Mhm.
documents, materials to Russia, who in turn sold them to Iran, who in turn sold them to. I mean, that's the only way that that theory that I can, plausible theory in my opinion, that I could come up with to explain how Israel was so unprepared. But I digress. Sorry, but I just had to
That's okay.
put that out
But
there.
you talked about too, everybody making money. Look what Jeannie Thomas's business did.
Yes, yes,
Before
yes.
before her consulting firm, before Trump was president, it was her tax papers said that it was only that she made up to like $15,000, right? When he was elected, she made as much as $250,000 from her consulting firm. And then when he lost the White House, her business fell to between 15,000 and 50,000. And so she, of course, was involved in that whole Stop the Steal rally and allegedly planning the insurrection and all of that stuff. Um, why? Because her business benefits these kickbacks
Hmm.
and everything
Hmm.
else that goes along with that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But what more importantly, or just as importantly, this new report, the White House for Sale, um, the Constitution is extremely. They're fighting about what the Constitution says about his ability to claim presidential immunity or whatever. But the Constitution, there's no ambiguity here with what the Democrats have introduced as evidence to show that what he did, taking uh, bribes from these foreign entities. There's nothing. There's no blurred line or whatever. It's clear that
And
he has done something that is a high crime.
his Republican supporters in both the House and the Senate, as well as non-elected supporters of Trump, know that he's capable of doing this. The majority know that he's capable of doing this, and know that indeed he did do it.
Yeah, unreal, unreal,
I
unreal.
mean, honestly, this is a report by the minority, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and there's a public safety alert going off here. Julissa Sanchez it's a good alert though. Has been located and is safe according to the Delaware State Police. They had an emergency out um, bulletin. This young person was thought to have been kidnapped and now has been found safe. So
Oh,
that's
good.
what the buzz is going off.
Good news. Good
Good
news.
news. There you go. Lululemon. Is that how you say it? Lululemon. Over the past few months, the brand Lululemon has been in the diversity, equity, and inclusion hot seat after reports of former employees filing complaints of racial discrimination. Many were left questioning the brand's inclusivity, the practices of being inclusive, despite the existence of internal programs like inclusion, diversity, equity, and action. Lululemon's founder, Chip Wilson, shared his disdain for the company's whole diversity and inclusion thing. Over the past few months, the brand has been in the diversity, equity, and inclusion hot seat, as we said. Now, they said, this guy, Wilson, says they're trying to become like the Gap. everything to everyone. And I think the definition of a brand is that you're not everything to everybody. You've got to
Exactly.
be clear that you don't want certain customers coming in. Wow. He doesn't want certain customers buying his brand.
Just from a business sense, that's stupid.
Well, see,
Um,
but hate does not have.
exactly. I was just about to say that. No, no. Hate has no boundary. I would think that as a business person, he would want to make as much money as possible, and but you know, hatred, racism, for far too many white folk precedes common sense. And then you have someone, successful businessman, comfortably going on record and saying what he did. How he really feels.
Well,
Comfortably,
aren't we
comfortably.
seeing? Yeah, I'm sorry, Austin. Aren't we seeing so much now
Yes,
of that?
yes,
People
yes,
are
yes.
saying out loud what has been the quiet part for so long.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
The boldness now of racism, the boldness of hate. As Power 96 says, buy black owned and leave those culture vultures
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
clothing
True,
line
true, true.
alone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: the same thing with Balenciaga. All of we don't seem to, as a community overall, don't seem to learn. I remember going back years, and I guess it was the 90s, that For Us By Us FUBU.
Mm-hmm. FUBU, yep.
And black people got excited,
Mm-hmm.
but as quickly as they got excited, and the product wasn't bad. Right, I saw people wearing the sneakers and the hoodies and all that stuff. As quickly as they got excited, they saw a commercial for Calvin Klein or whatever.
Yeah. How long was FUBU in existence? It
You
wasn't
know what?
long.
I took a nap and then woke up. It was gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how long. And it was, like I said, it wasn't stuff that they would just. Sometimes we have this idea that just because we black and we have a product, black people should support, and it could be the worst product there is. But FUBU was pretty good. They had a good product.
I remember when FUBU came out. I'm not young like you, Stacey, but I was certainly older.
You see all this gray hair up
Older
here.
than the So
How
FUBU.
old are you?
61. But FUBU targeted a.
Daggone, are you 61?
Yeah. Why you say it like that? And why you go radio silent like that? Before everybody listening, did you all see this? Did you all hear this? I said to you, I'm older than you, and you kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah, no, you're not older than me." Then you said, "How old are you?" And I tell you, and you
No,
go
I didn't
silent.
doubt that you were older than me. I just asked how old you were. It was no question in my mind that you were older.
Okay, I'm picking up on a little hatred there, but that's okay. This is your show. And I still love you as my brother. But I did know, because I'm looking at you, Stacey. I saw your expression.
Why are you looking at me? Look at the audience.
I just know you paused and you had a certain expression like, wow, I didn't know you're that much older than me. But seriously, when FUBU came out, it was targeted for young people. It was certainly not targeted for my generation. But I remember thinking, I wish there was a FUBU for older Black Americans like me, in terms of the casual wear.
Well, Power 96 says FUBU is back. In fact, I did see something about that not long ago. A couple of years, right? It's been a couple of years now. They have been back in cross. What is that? Cross colors.
Okay.
But there are, they are, and you're right, Austin. And there are so many brands. Again, just for the sake of, if black, since they are black owned, doesn't mean it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some who are black owned that is the best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we have a culture that loves to sport the other people's brands, right? From the bags that a lot of women have, to the boots, to the clothing that the men wear, or whatever. Stop it, because what's happening here is like we said, all of them are letting you know now. They have no qualms about letting you know now, whereas before, like you said, bad business practice, right? It used to be a bad business practice, but now they got the MAGAs and everybody else
Exactly. The
who
stench of
will run,
Trump,
right?
the Trump stench.
Yeah, and
It,
so they will support them. Support what's you should, folks need to support their community for sure.
mm-hmm,
But support what's right.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you want to go out and buy the big name brands and stuff like that, hey, I mean, you have every right. It's your money, but consider where that money is also going, the cause that is furthering. That to me is a word of caution. But it's good to know. It's just good to talk about FUBU, because I just remember it so fondly when it first came out and how excited, at least everybody I knew, was about FUBU, and you had to get FUBU. It was,
Well,
you had to. You couldn't go to school
absolutely,
or go
absolutely.
hang out with your crew.
Part of the in crowd, absolutely.
Yes. So
Well, if I had a fourth of the money of this Lululemon, first thing I would do is change my name.
he said
I
Lululemon.
mean, there would be one Lou. I wouldn't have the Lulus. No.
Look.
So much. Go to the Mayo Clinic and look at possible causes of body odor. They're multitudinous.
There goes
We
Greer.
need to know, because sometimes body odor can certainly speak to incontinence, which is possible in somebody at that age, but it can speak to other underlying serious health issues. So I think we need to get a good sniff at this guy.
We need to get a good sniff at this guy. We got to get a good sniff at this.
I think we've had enough of a sniff of this guy.
But Daniela Pierre mentions Carl Kanai. I remember Carl Kanai. And David said we were conscious of buying black. And Nakia says, look at how short-lived the Gucci ban was. These fools are still rocking Gucci after the blackface mockery, and some of us act like we can't live without their red and green stripe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Good
Wow.
point. Good point.
Wow.
Good point.
Well, I tell you what, here's something that this story this morning, Austin, is a little bit outside of your scope of things. I mean, all of the intellectual stuff that you do. So this is about sports, and this is about this idiot, this stark raving idiot. I am so mad at this guy. I don't even know him personally. That's how mad I am. Don't even know him personally, but that's how stupid he is. Tampa Bay Rays shortstop Wander Franco allegedly made payments to the mother of the minor he had a sexual relationship with, according to Dominican Republic prosecutors. He was placed on administrative leave in August after rumors began circulating online that he dated an underage girl. Shortly after, prosecutors from his home country announced their own investigation. And then last month, some thought Franco was on the run, which he was, when he failed to appear at a scheduled meeting with prosecutors. He arrived days later and was arrested following a 3-hour interview. And so this past Wednesday, prosecutors accused him of making monthly payments to the mother of the girl. They requested that a judge place both Franco and the mother under house arrest. So here's the thing, to break it all down. Wander Franco is one of the most talented guys. He's 22 years old. One of the most talented guys to ever put on a baseball uniform, a pro baseball uniform. He last year signed a $181 million contract to play for. The only way that a Major League Baseball guaranteed contract becomes not guaranteed and becomes a way in which a team can successfully get out of without paying it is a criminal conviction. Juan
Mhm.
DeFranco, and that even includes a plea deal.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to go all the way through. This guy, 22 years old, allegedly had sexual relations with a 17-year-old and also a 14-year-old. Now some have argued the 17-year-old, he's 21 at the time, or 20 or 21 at the time. He knows the law,
Yeah.
right? Then he starts to try and pay off the mother. The mother goes along of the 14-year-old. 100,000 Dominican pesos was found. He bought the that he paid in one installment, which is just about $1,700 US. It's not a whole lot, but he allegedly bought the girl and the mother cars, a house in the Dominican Republic, which $181 million is, I mean, that is like pocket change for him.
Sure.
But the fact is, let's face it, this is a young guy, 22 years old now. He's an athlete, a very famous, and would have been even more famous as his career would have gone on. And you have mature 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 50-somethings, 60-something-year-old women throwing themselves at you,
Absolutely.
and you're $181 million. Great shape. Women love that that's why I'm glad I'm old and married, because women love that great body and all that stuff, that workout body and stuff like that. Now Janae just got to put up with it. I ain't got to worry about running to the gym every morning. But this guy chooses 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And then knowing he obviously knows it's wrong, because what's he doing? He's trying to cover it up.
Paying them off. Yep. And it had left the evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a clear, like paper trail. I mean, 100, what do you say, 180 million, 181 million
Yes.
is now on the table and getting closer and closer to the edge and just falling off, meaning, thrown away for for nonsense.
Now the contract started in 2022, I believe. So, and then he's still being paid now until there is a resolution to this case. At some point, though, now that he's been formally arrested, I believe the Major League Baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays, will now go to the Players Union and Major League Baseball and say he is, by his own doing, inactive and cannot fulfill the contract. So they'll probably get away. They'll probably start not paying him real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And and they probably will never have to resume paying him.
Exactly.
So he got I think the extension kicked in 2023. So he probably got $20-something million out of this. So I mean, he will never starve.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly as prices in the Dominican Republic are different than those are in the United States. But he'll never starve, but he will never see another penny.
He'll never realize his full financial potential as outlined just in this contract. And at 22 years old, I mean, who knows how long he could play baseball professionally. It's a shame that someone this young.
Yeah.
I think for far too many of these young athletes, the fame and the stardom at his level is almost overwhelming. And I wish that this young Dominican brother here had some people around him who were advising him, look, you can't do that. There are plenty, as you just referenced, older women who would love to spend time with you. And who knows, Stacy, these I don't believe when I was 22, if I was you know, arrogant. I don't believe I was this arrogant, to ignore advice from someone that who was warning me about behavior on my part that could lead to criminal issues for me. So who knows? There may have been someone or someone's in his inner circle or his family warning him, and he just said, "To hell with you. I'm going to do what I want to do." That's certain cocky and arrogance, where the rules don't apply to me because I'm a superstar.
Yeah. Well, and Power 96 mentions Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma Thunder in the NBA. With the now he's 21 years old, Josh is, and the girl supposedly is 18. But he, or one, I believe under 18, I should say 17 or 16. And he actually posed apparently online on Instagram or wherever, shirtless with her. Now he's playing, right? So maybe, of course, not maybe. It's always a double standard when it comes to Josh Giddey. Of course, is from Australia, white guy from Australia. Obviously, Wanda Franco is a person of color.
Yep.
So
Different
you have that, but you have two different leagues as well. I know same standards should apply, and it should. It really should. NBA, I'm surprised at the NBA that they are allowing this guy to continue as well. Giddey. The one thing about the NBA, and this is why no player in the NBA should get in trouble with a woman. Because one of the things I learned a long time ago, what the NBA does with every person who's drafted out of college or high school, they have a seminar with them, and they have these women come in, these men come in, and they take them through a whole sex education course, right? And then they also advise them about all of the hangers-ons. They tell them, this is the climate you're going into. The women going to be at the hotel. They're going to be here. Here's what you do if you decide to have sex with them. And they give them the whole breakdown. And it's very personal, very invasive and everything. Tell them about birth control methods and this and that. And one player even said that during those seminars, they advised them, which is crazy to me, to two things: take their used prophylactic with them when they leave,
and discard.
Don't discard it there, but take it somewhere else to discard it. So if you run into an NBA player one day in a hotel lobby or wherever, he might be carrying some things on him. And they also advise them that it might be wise, if they're going to have one night stands or whatever, to have a security guy with them in the room.
Damn, that's detailed.
You're not going to be in the room.
Yeah.
Come on now. The NBA is a bunch of freaks. I mean, come on. What you doing in the NBA? But the point is, I have not heard that about any other sport, that what they try to inculcate into these
indoctrinate. Yep.
Indoctrinate into these young players. But Wanda Franco is that stuff. I saw that last year happening, and I'm like, you know what? It's so infuriating at times to see these young athletes throw it all away because they can't. But here's the bigger picture. We've been talking about Jeffrey Epstein and all that nasty pedophilia stuff. Well, Wanda Franco and 14 years, that's a pedophile.
Exactly.
So you can't feel sorry for him.
Nope.
At least I don't. I can't see how you could feel sorry for any pedophile. I mean,
none.
You could. If I saw a pedophile hanging from a tree,
I would keep walking.
Have a nice day.
Have
a nice day.
There is, that is pedophilia is so vile and so disgusting That I just have no sympathy, no, no understanding
None.
for that kind of behavior, and even for those who were victims themselves of such behavior. you know um, I just think if God forbid you are a victim, recognize you need help and get
Mhm.
help. If you
Get help.
thought it was wrong for you to be abused in that manner as a kid, how that made you feel as a kid. How can you knowingly instill that hurt onto another innocent boy or girl?
And that's why with this Epstein stuff, with all these people that was around him for years, and David Copperfield, what was written in there in the documents about David Copperfield really highlights what I believe wholeheartedly. They know these people who've been around him. Trump was around him a lot. Bill Clinton was around him a lot. Others in that list may have been around him once or twice, so that maybe they get a pass. Um, when they say, I say maybe they get a pass when they say they didn't know his lifestyle. But you around this person, is what's going on. David Copperfield had questioned a young girl, asked her, was other young girls being paid for sex? That means he knew.
She
There's no,
said yes, and he continued to hang around her.
and he continued to hang
Him,
around.
yeah.
So these people knew, and there's no excuse for pedophiles. There's no excuse for people who aid and abet pedophiles. They all need to go. And that is where we got to leave it this morning. Austin, always appreciate the one and only Austin Cooper. He is the editor of Our House DC for the Washington Informer. And he's Mr. Everywhere Man, regardless of what Flavor Flav says. So
I appreciate you, brother.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
I believe I can fly.